Hey, how's it going, fight fans? Welcome to Mindful Combat. If you're new to the channel, my name is Rohan, and you're watching, as requested, episode 4, my series, where you comment below in the comment section below with your video ideas, and every Monday I pick out one at random and do a video dedicated to it. And if you have a channel, I'll give your channel a shout out, and if you don't, well then I'll give a random channel a shout out on my channel for you guys to go and check out. Anyways, the video idea for this video comes from my subscriber Bradford Ladd, who asked me, who do you think are the most overrated and underrated fighters currently fighting? So you know what, this is an interesting one, and you know what, bro, you're gonna get me in a bit of trouble with this because I know some people are gonna get really stung with my predictions, particularly for my most overrated fighters. But I suppose that's why we're here. We're here to have dialogue. So let me go through my most underrated and overrated fighters here in this video. So I'll start off with underrated fighters because that's obviously, you should start off with the good, I guess. And so I'm going to give 3 of each, by the way. Going to give 3 underrated fighters and 3 overrated fighters. To start off with, I'm going to start with Mehmet Kasimov as being one of the most underrated fighters in MMA right now. I believe Mehmet Kasimov is a great all-round fighter and he's got a great game. He's only 30 years old. He's on a 6-fight win streak. 5 of those 6-fight win streak is by finish, brutal finish. He got 3 performances of the night bonuses, and he's just a brutal knockout. He's really devastating fighter and it's really a pleasure to watch. He's a bad man, and he finishes fights ferociously. He's been a bit unfortunate in his career up until this point because he hasn't really been able to fight consistently, and that may have contributed to why he isn't really rated as highly as maybe he should be. He's had a lot of visa issues. He's one of those Chechnyan fighters, and some of them have had visa issues traveling abroad, and because of that, that's really impacted their career. So Mehmet Kasimov is definitely one of those guys whose careers has been impacted by his ability to travel, but I believe because of that, he's incredibly underrated, especially when you consider his record. It's 28-5. Imagine that type of experience or that kind of a record for MMA. He's been around for a long time, really respected, and every fight I've seen of his, I've been impressed. His one loss comes to Michel Bezeres at lightweight, which, you know, he was on a 9-fight win streak not that long ago, so he's a real good fighter, not a bad loss at all, and that was a long time ago. So he's been fighting once a year since then, and he returns to fight in September when he takes on Carlos Diego Ferreira, who's on a 4-fight win streak as well, and that should be a great matchup, and the winner of that should find themselves in a good position to negotiate a top 10 fight next, and it's a fight that I think everyone should check out. My next incredibly underrated fighter is one of my personal favourites at welterweight, is Vincent Luque. Vincent Luque is a dude who I am incredibly high on. The dude's an absolute finisher, and he's just a brutal, savage guy. His fights are exciting, he gets wicked finishes, he's shown durability, strength, he's got an all-round game. He's just generally a great fighter and just a pleasure to watch. He's a guy that I think deserves a lot more credit than he gets, and he's still a young man. He's only 27 years old. He's got a record of 16-6 with 1 draw, which might not sound so incredible, but if you consider the fact that he's 9-1 in his last 10 fights, with that one loss being to Leon Edwards, he's finished every single one of those 9 wins. This is all in the UFC. And his last 5 are all by finish as well. He's won 5 in a row, and he's just generally an astonishing fighter. And even when you look at some of his wins, he became the first dude to finish Brian Barberina, which was an impressive showing. He's a bad man, and he hasn't had the opportunity to really show it. He beat Belal Muhammad as well, which is another really good win. He's just a good fighter, a really skillful, talented fighter. And I believe a lot of people should be giving him some attention. He's got a big fight coming up next with Mike Platinum Perry. That's going to be on August 10th, so definitely check that one out. I believe he'll be able to get past Mike Platinum Perry without too much difficulty, and then hopefully he can make a run at contendership status because he's a bad dude. So that's my number 2 underrated fighter. Now, one of the guys who I believe is the most underrated fighters in the whole of MMA and just hasn't gotten the appreciation that he deserves is Ryan Bader, the current Bellator heavyweight and light heavyweight dual champion. Won the Bellator heavyweight Grand Prix and is set to fight Czech Congo next on September 7th. Ryan Bader is a bad dude. Overall, he holds a record of 27 wins and 5 losses. He's got 7 wins in a row. He's won 12 of his last 13 fights. That sole loss being a poor fight to Rumble Johnson. And look, I'll be the first to admit Ryan Bader has had some poor performances. I think a lot of people still give him slack for his loss to Tito Ortiz. The fight against Rumble Johnson was a pathetic performance, but he's won 7 in a row since, and he's just looked increasingly better against increasingly better competition. When you look at some of his wins, fair enough, he beat a diminished Fedor, but he took out Fedor, who was on a 2-fight win streak at the time. He's taken out Matt Mitrione at heavyweight as well, making him 2-0 at heavyweight. He won the Bellator light heavyweight title with beating Phil Davis on 2 different occasions. He's beaten Quentin Rampage Jackson. He beat Rashad Evans back when Rashad Evans was on a winning streak. He's beaten Rogerio Nogueira twice. He's beaten Alain Latifi, a top 10 light heavyweight to this day. He's beaten OSP, a top 10 light heavyweight. This is a guy who deserves a lot more credit than he gets. He's also won the Ultimate Fighter tournament. He went 15-5 in the UFC. And for some reason, there's this sentiment that's been thrown around that like Ryan Bader's some kind of a bum, or like I don't see that at all. I believe he's got a great all-round game. He's got great power, great durability. He's fought some of the best names, and he's a good fighter. He seems like a good dude as well. And he's criminally underrated in the world of MMA, and I believe when he retires, he will never get the respect he truly deserves. So for me, Ryan Bader is probably my most underrated fighter competing right now, and I would love to see him have taken on Daniel Cormier. Daniel Cormier being champ, him being champ, then both having that rivalry, Bellator versus UFC. If they could have co-promoted and that was the fight, it was the perfect fight to co-promote. If One Championship wants to co-promote and match him up against Ong Lan Sang, I'm down for that, dude. That will be wicked. So here's the hoping. Let's see what happens. If you can get past Czech Congo, some interesting options could be there. Overrated fighters. So to start off my overrated fighters now, I'm going to start off with Kevin Lee. Now Kevin Lee, the young 26-year-old man who was once seen as a future of the lightweight division. George St. Pierre touted him as the future of the lightweight division. When he beat Edson Barboza, a lot of people saying he's the man to beat Khabib Nurmagomedov. Well, it ain't panned out that way. And I myself have been guilty of being too high on Kevin Lee, so that's dangerous right there. Kevin Lee's 1-3 in his last 4 fights, 17-5 overall, which isn't bad. He's lost all the key big major fights he's been in. His best wins are Edson Barboza and Michael Chiesa, and I'm not too impressed by either one of those wins, and he's a guy who just hasn't shown me any type of consistency in his career performance. So Kevin Lee comes in as one of my overrated fighters. Another one of my overrated fighters is outside of the UFC, and is a guy who's been lauded as one of the best lightweights in the world for a long time. The 33-year-old Michael Chandler is my next overrated fighter. Michael Chandler is a guy who, yes, he's won 3 Bellator world titles, and I respect that. He's gotten some good wins. He beat Eddie Alvarez. That was his coming out party. And look, I'm not doubting that he is top caliber fighter, or was at once a top caliber fighter, but the fact remains that every time he's had the opportunity to step up, he's lost. Even when you look at some of his fights against Will Brooks, he lost twice to Will Brooks, which was weird, you know what I mean? He lost to Brent Primus. Okay, that was a freak injury, but his rematch with Brent Primus, he didn't look particularly impressive, and then he just got knocked out by Patricio Pitbull. I was huge on Michael Chandler myself, but the facts are facts, and when you look at his resume and look at his wins compared to his losses, and you look at the way people spoke about him, and people spoke about him like he could have come in there and done so much damage, and again, he could have beaten Khabib Nurmagomedov, and he could have beaten this guy, and he's there on Joe Rogan Experience saying, I'm the worst possible matchup for Khabib, and it's just bullshit. He's an incredibly overrated fighter. He's a talented fighter. He's a good fighter, but he was never top caliber, never the best lightweight in the world. And for all the accolades he's been given and all the love and admiration he's been given, he's just not lived up to it. My most overrated fighter currently to me fighting right now is the 17-0 undefeated UFC interim middleweight champion. That's right, I'm picking Israel Adesanya, the heavy hype job. That's my number 1 overrated fighter in MMA right now. Now listen, this is going to get me a lot of dislikes because people are really riding his dick right now, and whatever, you got to do what you got to do. But if we look at Israel Adesanya, the 29-year-old former kickboxing specialist who actually lost his last 2 kickboxing fights and was brutally knocked out in his final kickboxing fight against a guy who isn't the best kickboxer in the world, has done good in MMA. He's gone 17-0 and won an interim world title. No problem, I respect that. But his best win outside the UFC was Melvin Gellar, that middleweight in 2015, or 16, which is an absolutely appalling win. And then you look at his run in the UFC. He fought Rob Wilkinson, which is a bum, and he's had an interesting run. He fought Rob Wilkinson, which is a bum. He essentially lost. Well, he didn't lose. He beat Marvin Vettori, but he didn't walk away looking like a winner. Marvin Vettori, being a journeyman fighter, he was meant to have gone through him. He didn't impress me in that fight. He looked decent against Brad Tavares, who's never been world class. He looked good against Derek Brunson, a predictable and particularly sloppy fighter that night he fought. And when he fought, when he moved on from that fight, and he's fought Anderson Silva, a 44-year-old who hadn't fought in 2 years, and he's losing a round to Anderson Silva. Look, that was a terrible performance. It was a terrible performance. When you think about it, you look at Muhammad Ali, the greatest boxer of all time, and when he was 38 years old and he was fighting guys like Larry Holmes, etc., the guys who went on to be world champions, they cemented the position that they were better than Ali. Israel Adesanya lost a round to Anderson Silva, and a lot of people said, "Oh, it's too much respect." Well, that's his problem. If he's got too much respect for him, that's his problem. That's a weakness. That's weakness in mentality. As a fighter, you can't be demonstrating too much respect to your idols. You're a fighter. You're not here for a idling lesson. You're here to fight. If as a fighter, you can't separate who you love and the guys you looked up to and be able to perform. I'm not impressed. His best win's been Kelvin Gastelum, but back and forth war. And I picked Kelvin Gastelum, so okay, I'll take that on the chin. I was wrong there. But look, we got to be real about this. Kelvin Gastelum is a 5'9" fat welterweight who should be at welterweight all along. Kelvin Gastelum still whipped his ass. He put a beating on him. Now he won that fight, guaranteed. He definitely won that fight. But the fact that Kelvin Gastelum was able to work him. Look, Kelvin Gastelum is 5'9". He is 6'3" or 6'4". Think about that for a second. Think about that for a second. He's 6 inches taller than him. He has such a huge reach advantage over him. He's a vastly bigger striker than him, and Kelvin Gastelum struck with him and he was tagging him up early. What does that tell you? Does that tell you he's going to beat Robert Whittaker and go on to fight John Jones? Because if it does, you're fucking retarded. Like, it just doesn't make sense. So yeah, Israel Adesanya is, for me, my most overrated fighter fighting in MMA right now, and I appreciate he's got skill, and I appreciate he's talented, and I appreciate he's top 5, demonstratively so, I guess, but he is not the best middleweight in the world, and he's not going to beat Robert Whittaker. If he beats Robert Whittaker, I'll be very, very, very surprised, and this is MMA. I guess anything can happen, and he can improve. But as it stands right now, in my opinion, the number 1 overrated fighter fighting right now is Israel Adesanya. So guys, who are your most overrated and underrated fighters? Comment below. Go easy on me if you completely disagree. Actually, no, don't. I'm here for the dialogue. Throw it on me, no problem. Anyways, for today's shout out, I'm going to give a big shout out to my brother, the MMA Slam podcast. Yeah, I get really tongue-tied. MMA Slam podcast. That's run by my boy. His name's Dave. He's got a great channel. He does great fight breakdowns. He does really interesting concept areas as well. He's a true martial artist. He's got a true background in fighting, and me and him have spoken where we both have a background in fighting, and I've really gotten to enjoy his content because of his background in fighting, and his stuff is really detailed, and you know, he expresses himself well. He's got great editing skills. His videos are really enjoyable. So check him out. This MMA Slam podcast. I'm going to leave it in the link below, and it's definitely worth watch. Give a watch some of his videos, and let me know what you guys think of him. Anyways, guys, comment below with your video ideas for my next video. Let me know what you thought about this video. And let's keep the steam rolling. I'm really enjoying this series. It's getting me opportunity to do the videos you guys want to see a bit more, aside from the breakdowns and stuff. And I'm really enjoying it. So thank you for watching, guys. Remember to comment below, share out the video, subscribe if you haven't. Mind for Combat.